listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right. Well, good morning. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the show, Sudbury News Talk, where you share your news and views. We share the news. We share our views. You share your views on the news and issues that affect us in Greater Sudbury and abroad. We're grateful to have you here. Grateful to be with you today on this July the 13th, Thursday, July the 13th, 2023 edition. We're going to get into the weather. I think it's rather positive. Could be worse, but we'll get into that. We got a lot of news to break down for you that's been happening here in the city. A lot of interesting things down at City Hall and with City Council. It's a great time to have a show like this and be able to express our views on the news that's happening not only locally, but abroad as well. And today there's no shortage of things to talk about. We're live, CKLU 96.7 FM. We're also streaming at cklu.ca. We are the community, Sudbury's community campus and community radio station, and we've been around since 1984. We started out in a little trailer on campus, and now we're broadcasting from the old Telegraph building on the corner of Elm and Elgin. And it's all part of the new MacEwan School of Architecture, all under the umbrella of Laurentian University. We're also streaming online. You download the Radio Player Canada app. You can take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime. You can just listen to us on demand on facebook.com/Sudbury News or youtube.com after the show, but you can see us live and also comment on the show, which we're looking forward to your comments today on what we're talking about. I'll do my best to read them on the radio and discuss them as we move our way along. I'm not sure what I just did here, so I'm going to close that. I'll open the room just in case. So we might be joined by Billy this morning. We're not sure. He said he's tentative. So I thought I would just open the gates up just in case he was there. Hopefully he's able to join us. If not, we'll have a great conversation with ourselves today. And I just wanted to say I'm grateful to be able to do this show each and every day. It keeps me on my toes, and it's been around for a little over a year now. And it's been a slice trying to learn to speak on the fly, do all the controls, have a setup, a studio, you name it. And it's not easy to do, but it's a miracle that it's actually it broadcasts every day. And so we're grateful to CKLU, grateful to Laurentian University. We're thankful to the platforms, Facebook and YouTube. We're also on Twitter afterwards, so we're grateful for Twitter as well. All the social medias. Make sure to like, share, follow, subscribe, share. Mainly comment though on the show. We like to hear from you. I'll do my best, like I said. And with that, good morning, Monique. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being with us. Belinda, good morning. If you don't like the road you're walking, start paving another one. Hey, very good and positive, and thank you for that. Belinda, good morning. Denise, good morning, everyone. Also, Josiah, good morning, all. And David, as usual, good morning. Stay safe, everyone. Beautiful morning to Jerome. Beautiful morning to discuss our news. Morning, y'all. Perfect. Good morning, Denise. Thanks for being with us. Espanola. Good morning from Espanola. Denise as well. Denise here as well. Distractions. Pat King. Tamara, the Freedom movie. Mortgages, taxes. Yeah, those are all topics for sure. Today, I think we're going to be going into the mortgages and taxes, I think, is what's recent in the news, the new tax hike and what it means to us Canadians, as Justin Trudeau would say. Belinda, so wonderful to be gathered with intelligent people making good conversation. Well, yeah, that's the way I look at it in the morning. It's kind of like, we'd go to the coffee shop with a group of friends and everyone meets up. Usually you got to be retired or whatever to do that. But everyone meets up at the coffee shop and you're yakking about all the things going on and everyone's got an opinion. Well, we're able to do that digitally, right? We're able to take actual stories that are going on around us, unpack them. And so that's what we're going to do. And we'll come back with Dave's comment. We're going to dive right in. We'll get the weather out of the way and then right into the news stories today. We'll try and get through everything today. There's lots to talk about. So we'll be back right after this. And Dave's comment will be first up right after the weather. So yeah, Sudbury weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. Currently at 16 degrees. It's mostly cloudy out there. Today you can expect it to remain mainly cloudy with a 30% chance of showers this morning. High of 22, humidex 26. UV index 7 or high tonight. Mainly cloudy, low of 14. And then for tomorrow, a mix of sun and cloud. 60% chance of showers in the afternoon with a risk of thunderstorm. We've had a lot of this, so much percentage of showers and stuff, and even the chances of thunderstorm. Very rarely has it panned out that way from what I've seen anyways, from where I'm at. But anyways, it'll be a high of 26 tomorrow, but it'll feel like almost 30. So 29 UV index is high. And then on Saturday, 60% chance of showers all the way. So tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, now 60% chance of showers for all of those days, all the way up until next Wednesday it's forecasting for. And 26 is your high tomorrow, Saturday, 25 Sunday, 21 Monday, and 20% or 20 degrees on Tuesday. Again, long range, 60% chance of showers for the next 5 days. And look at your satellite. That's where a lot of clouds there, and clouds potentially rolling in. For those that are on the radio, just describing the satellite image here, taken at 1 a.m. That's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. Grateful to have you guys on and looking forward to unpacking the news headlines when we come back. Right after this. Alrighty then, here we go. So Dave's comment first, like I promised. Are we going to get our toes wet discussing Trudeau giving $15,000 for kids in daycare centers to learn from seniors where our food comes by installing plant beds? I don't know. I didn't see that story on any of the Sudbury.com, Sudbury Star, CTV Northern Ontario, or what's the other one we go from? Oh, CBC, Northern Ontario. I haven't seen that story, so I didn't have it there. But if you had some comments about it, I'm more than happy to share that. But it sounds interesting, for sure. But yeah, usually I grab the stories that are on any of the local news feeds and I share them that I think would be topical for our discussions and have them here, along with some points of view that I don't think get put across to Greater Sudbury, usually more on a conservative side because we have so much of the other side there. I usually like at least the sentiments to be expressed so you can hear them and make your own decisions. Morning coffee and talk. Yes, exactly. Uh, my end of Sudbury has brown water. You're kidding. So that's a news story coming out of your taps, for sure. I haven't seen that in any of the news stories this morning or last night. And with that, good morning, Vin. Thanks for joining us. We had a lot of people hopping on, more than usual this morning. So grateful for you guys being with us, all those that are coming on. Some of the things we'll be talking about today, we're going to get to this a little bit later, and that's the interest rates have been raised again. They've been raised quite a bit since March. We'll talk about that. What that means to us, what that means to you if you have a mortgage, and how's that going to affect you? So also local story. So we'll get back to the mortgage thing, the interest rates, how the federal government is handling it, how we feel about it, later on. But first, this is from CBC. A Sudbury bunny snatchers rescuing dumped domestic rabbits. So they're on high alert. They're not usually approaching people anymore, and they are in survival mode. And this particular group has set up traps, but they're unfortunately unlikely to walk into a live trap. So they go around with fishing nets trying to capture. So apparently people are getting domesticated rabbits, bunnies, and they're just letting them go into the wild. And they're not meant to be in the wild here. And so there's a group that are going out and rescuing them. So if you see what looks like a domesticated bunny out in the wild, you might want to, if you don't want it to get eaten by wild animals, take it in and maybe call the SPCA, or I'm not sure what you want to do. Brown water comes from utilities working on the mains, the water lines. Just keep running your water until it disappears. Okay, there's a good suggestion from Miles there. Hopefully that works, because if it doesn't, that would be very frustrating for sure. Dave says, surprisingly, you didn't know about a good thing that Trudeau did. Would you like me to post a link? And will you read it? So I can't read it. And I don't know if you've noticed any links anyone's ever shared on the live feed, even if it's something that I would jump up and down and love, to be the best thing in the world to share. I can't. I don't have the ability to share that live. It is what it is. I don't, it's just not part of the way the technology works. But you can send it to my messenger, and then I can play it on tomorrow's show, kind of thing. That's what people do. They send videos they think, or stories they think are good that I might have missed, or they might think I'm not able to get for some reason. They send them to the messenger. So you go to Facebook Messenger, send the link through that to Sudbury News, or you can email it to sudburynews@gmail.com, and we can discuss that tomorrow. Not a problem. And yes, look, it was a simple question I asked a few days ago. What good things has Justin Trudeau done? And I think there is a sub question to that. Has your life been better since he's been elected? And in what way? Really, it's a simple question. And so, yes, there are people who are known to be the most evil leaders in the world that also have gone down in history of doing some of the most, making huge contributions in a positive way to mankind as well, right? But the question was to the individual, what do you think Justin Trudeau has done in these 8 years of being prime minister that you can think of, top of mind? And it was really difficult for people to do, right? And I've noticed a lot of times asking people about, I remember when Trump was very controversial, more than he is now. I say, well, what particular policy does he have that you have an aversion to? Like, what is he doing with his country, or what is he doing in his presidency? Not what are your emotional reactions to him as a person. So they're two different things. You don't like the guy, you abhor him. I get that. But what is he doing in his presidency, policy-wise, or for the economy, the decisions he's making as president? What kinds of things like that are you taking exception to? And you can imagine the responses. I was not able to get a single response of what he was doing negatively as president. It was all the things, what the news said about him that I got back, right? I said, okay, the news said that, but did you know they edited that clip? Did you want to see the full clip? No, I don't want to see the full clip. Oh, okay. So you want to just continue thinking what you think? Yeah. So is Donald Trump the greatest president ever? Is he the greatest person ever? No, this isn't the thing that I was asking. It was, what did he do as president? So as prime minister, what good things did Justin Trudeau do in his 8 years? He had 4 more years than Donald Trump even to go from, right? So he should have a lot of good things. And it should be easy to think of if you're a Trudeau supporter. You think if you're a Donald Trump supporter, you can rhyme him off. He's done this, he's done that, he's done this, he's done that, he's done this. If you're a Donald Trump hater, I found, anyways, in my conversations, it was harder to get people to actually say, he's done this bad, he's done that bad, and he's done this bad. In terms of policy or his presidency, not in terms of what someone heard a reporter say about him. A lot of false things that are coming out now. He definitely wasn't loved by the media down there. That's for sure. Not like our prime minister here. He's loved by the media, mainly the mainstream media, but because he's paying for them as well, right? So you'd expect that if he's paying the media, they're going to be in favor mainly of him. It's not rocket science. So it is what it is. That's why I'm asking people, not the media, not what you heard from a news outlet, but you personally, what do you think Justin Trudeau's done good for our country or for you? Save the bunnies, yes. Shame on people letting them go, for sure. Good morning, Judy. Thanks for joining us. Dave, we don't have a president in Canada. Yeah, that's true. Thanks for that. Danica, good morning, everyone. Is it Friday yet? Hello. Yeah, exactly. Can't get here fast enough. Belinda, Trudeau is not leaving a good legacy, just like his father. Okay. And again, right, I've heard people say they loved Trudeau Sr. as well. But again, you ask yourself, okay, what was it about his prime ministership, his time in office that he did for the country that you love the most, right? So a lot of people have a personal affiliation, and politicians know this, and they milk it. So it's like, what are you going to do for the country? Okay, you got nice hair. You're sharpest looking guy out of the bunch. So I'm going to vote for him. And I'm going to vote against the cardboard cutout kind of prime minister that has very little personality, but arguably could have done a lot of really great things fiscally and responsibly for the country and for you and I, right? But people are emotional. They vote for the person. Isn't Trump under indictment selling military secrets? Exactly. According to CNN, he is, and CBC, for sure. But if you look into what's really going on, you'll see how the media is actually, look at why he's under indictment, who's behind it. What about the Russia collusion? What happened there? Oh, okay. Yeah. So the same thing's going to happen with that. It's, it's whether I agree with Donald Trump or not, which I never liked the guy before he ran for president, never did. I don't like his personality. I don't. However, that's totally different. What politician, and that's why I like the way people treated Donald Trump. If you treated every politician the way they treated Donald Trump, that's the way it should be. The media, how not to make lies, because they did. They were known to make lies, and still to this day. They've taken clips out of context and all the time. So, but not to do that, but the way they were constantly at him. Oh yeah, for sure. That's the way the media should be for everyone. But as soon as, the next guy gets in, it's like questions like, what kind of ice cream is your favorite? It's really noticeable. If you don't notice the hand holding compared to the real journalism with the different leaders, then I can't help you. Okay, Miles, some people must love how interest rates raised to double digits with Pierre Trudeau Sr. as Prime Minister. So that's something that affected our economy, right? Something he did, not the fact that he was a good surfer or his wife had an affair with, Castro and Mick Jagger, those kind of positive things. But actually something that he did as Prime Minister that affected our lives. You keep things separate. Private lives is what I just mentioned, right? His wife and things that they did socially that are on record now. And then also things he did publicly and for the country. Two different things. Two totally different things. So thanks for that. The interest rates going up. Okay, so guess if didn't have clean drinking 8 years ago and now you do, guess that would be an improvement for sure. Definitely. I said that I apologized to Stephen when he mentioned that 3 times on the show, and I was glossing over it because it was a large segment and I was just scanning as I was talking, and I mentioned it on the next show. There was 80% of clean drinking water. Then it was forecast to be 90%, and that was definitely a positive thing. And so I wonder, Dave, I honestly do. Like, you heard me say that. So if we're having a respectful conversation and I'm giving it its due, I don't know why you would make a comment like that. I honestly don't know. I scratch my head. I honestly just scratch my head for the same reason I scratch my head for most political conversations, to get people out of the partisanship and more is this leader doing a good job? Not you were born a liberal, you're going to die a liberal, your family's a liberal, these types of things, right? What if the guy was the Antichrist? You'd still vote for him. That's crazy. Okay, so actions speak louder than words. Exactly. That's what I want to know. What do they do? There's a lot of saying stuff, but what are they doing? His most damning action was the unconstitutional Muslim ban. Well, there you go again, right? So that's something he did in office. And Trump's JMO. I don't acronyms sometimes first thing in the morning I'm not up on. So narcissist does not have any redeeming qualities in my opinion. Okay. So again, right? So there's a personal feeling about what he's done and whatever. But if we just talk about what he's done, what he's doing, and not, the emotional aspect, like, sure, you can get emotional. So let's say he did something that made you lose your job. You could get emotional over that. Obviously you're going to be emotional, but it's what he did that we would talk about. So what did he do to cause you to make you lose your job? That's what we want to kind of focus on. So that's why I asked the question, what did Justin Trudeau do good for you as a person, for the country? And we got a few things. He doubled the military in Latvia, or he's going to. He's helped the drinking water in indigenous communities by 80%, and it's set to be 90% very shortly. He's given $15,000 for daycare, which was an NDP platform that he had to go with because he formed a coalition, by the way. That's true, right? Because that was the NDP's platform. But they, in order to make this coalition, they actually have to do NDP things too. So it's the NDP Liberal Party that we're dealing with in charge of Canada right now. So that's a fact. That came from that party. And if you look at that as a good thing, where does that money come from? Some people might not look at that as a good thing. Where does this free money come from that's given to causes and stuff? Is it fiscally responsible? What's the return on investment? Is it good? Are there other ways to accomplish these things? These are the questions we ask. So I send you the links which you ignore. Oh, really? I've never gotten a link from you, Dave, in my messenger. I don't believe in my life, but I can go back and look. I don't play every link that I get from everybody, and there's many people on the show knowing this, if it goes along with the conversation of the day and I think it fits in, and yeah, it's good. And some things, I think maybe I'll get to it another time, and the news keeps rolling on. You can't talk about every single subject all the time in an hour. It's just impossible. But anyways, thanks for the conversation. I really appreciate it. This is interesting locally. Vagnini got kicked out of that latest meeting on Tuesday with City Council. A lot of things they're doing, which we'll talk about here. We'll get off of our deep dive conversation to get back to it later, and we'll come back to that. So, where is it here? First story on Sudbury.com's morning stories of the day. So Vagnini says, "You're blind to what's going on out there." Ward 2 Councillor Michael Vagnini told his colleagues on City Council after they voted 8-4 to remove him from Tuesday's meeting. Vagnini's expulsion from the meeting, which he attended virtually, came immediately after he talked over Mayor Paula Five, who'd attempted to rein in the councillor's comments. To let me finish, Vagnini said, "and that crosses a line and we are done," Lefebvre responded, at which point he proceeded to read from the city's procedure bylaw, the bylaw which he had ready to go, basically. He had at the ready, reads, in the event that the member persists in a breach of the rules of conduct after having been called to order by the chair, 1, the chair shall request a vote without debate as to whether that member should be ordered to leave the meeting, and 2, if a majority of members decides the question in the affirmative, the member in question shall immediately comply. Further, Lefebvre recited a line from the bylaw regarding City Council decorum, in which it stated that no person shall engage in disruptive or distracting behavior in such manner as to interrupt the proceedings. In a roll call vote, the following members voted to expel Vagnini from the meeting: Ward 5's Representative Mike Perron, Ward 6 Councillor Renee Lapierre, Ward 7 Councillor Natalie Labby, Ward 8 Councillor Al Sizer, Ward 9 Councillor Debbie McIntosh, Ward 11 Councillor Bill Leduc, and Ward 12 Councillor Jocelyn Lingerie Altman, and Mayor Paul Lefebvre. The following members voted against expelling Vagnini: Ward 3 Councillor Jerry Montpellier, Ward 4 Councillor Pauline Fortin, and Ward 1 Councillor Mark Signoretti. And Vagnini, who abstained, which is counted as a no, Ward 10 Councillor Fern Cormier was not at his seat during the vote, so he did not weigh in. So drama going on right down at our City Hall Council meeting. There were a lot of things they were discussing, and including this. Council greenlights the new Minnow Lake Emergency Services Station. A new fire and paramedic station for Minnow Lake is at the ideal location, was greenlit by the city, by City Council during Tuesday's meeting. The decision followed a debate regarding that an ideal location should be, with Ward Councillor Bill Leduc making an unsuccessful pitch for it to be in the Minnow Lake neighborhood. Specifically, he said it should be located south of the Kingsway. Fire and Paramedic Services Chief Joseph Nichols pushed back, arguing against hamstringing the new building to a specific location. "I understand the feeling or sentiment that residents believe this is a Minnow Lake station and it's Minnow Lake station," he said. "It's a station in a system of stations that responds all over the community. I would be concerned with not having an ideal location." A report by the Operational Research and Health Ltd. noted that an ideal site for the Minnow Lake station would be 2 kilometers north of its current location, close to the junction of the Kingsway and Falconbridge roads. So things heating up. City Hall, all kinds of big decisions. Michael Vagnini. I am going to go deeper into that story and see if I can't drum up, what the heck happened there, what's going on. It'd be great to have some counselors on the show to explain, what's happening. It looks like they're kind of divided. At first they were coming through, voting unanimously. I know a few of our listeners and viewers have noted that it just seems like they're the voting unanimously on everything. Right here they're not. So it looks like they disagree on Michael Vagnini's being in the meeting, what he was talking about, what he was standing for possibly. We'll get to the bottom of that later. Deadline to weigh in on housing supply strategy on July 15th. So it's last call to provide feedback on the city's proposed housing supply strategy. And residents have until July 15th, which is 2 days from now, to weigh in on the housing supply strategy. Until that time, more information in the survey is available. We shared the link from Sudbury.com on our Facebook feed, and it's over to you.greatersudbury.ca. So if you're not able to go to the link, it's pretty simple. Over to you, meaning anything they're going to be asking from residents. I like that, actually. It's pretty simple. Over to you.greatersudbury.ca. You can weigh in on that. And I like how the city is asking its residents for their input. Always a great thing. Former Sudbury teacher pressured student to lie about their sexual relationship. This is from CTV, Northern Ontario. A sexual relationship with a teacher had devastating impact on a former Sudbury student. A disciplinary hearing was told recently. There's more on that if you wanted to read more, but I guess it's good to stay on top of, how teachers are being disciplined in our community if they engage in such activity. I would think would be something you should be interested, especially if you have children in schools. Swedish company buys Sudbury-based mining automation firm. I know a lot of you are familiar with Hardline. Sweden-based Hexagon Mining has acquired Hardline, a Sudbury company that specializes in mine automation technology. I know Hardline almost came out of nowhere and grew really fast and became a huge staple in the mining business, in the mining landscape of businesses here in the city. And so now they're bought out by a Sweden-based firm. Okay, so just going to get some of your comments up on the screen here as we move along. And if any of them have anything to do with our deep dive today, feel free to say them again. But we will just continue moving on with the conversation here. So you remember the fire that took place in the flour mill in 2021? Well, that's going through the courts, and sentencing is coming down for the person that was responsible for that. And you can see that Northern Ontario CTV News, third day of sentencing was in the Sudbury arson case. A sentencing hearing for a Sudbury multiple murder and arson case continued yesterday, with the defense requesting a 13-year jail term for the accused. There was a lot of talk about mental illness in there as well, and how much that had to play with the particular crime. So for more on that, we shared the link on our Facebook feed. Again here, right? So Long Junction East Project. Hello, Tom Davies Square. CBC News reporting. A recent report presented to Sudbury City Council suggests that Tom Davies Square be the home to the City Hall, or home to City Hall, adjacent from several provincial offices, is the preferred spot for the new library art gallery. Now, I know this is probably old news for a lot of us, as we've seen this coming up in our news feeds, and we actually meant to talk about it on yesterday's show, but previous show we talked about the art gallery. There's a pitch being made for the Brewer's Loft on Lorne to be the art gallery. I know the former Rainbow Mall, now the Elm Town Square, whatever its new name is now, the former City Center Mall back in the day, making a pitch to be the home of the new library to save costs. Well, looks like they might go ahead and just put it right in Tom Davies Square. which to me makes sense. I mean, it already looks like a library. And to some extent, it is a library of sorts where they house the different plans and reports and things like that you can go and get for various things, building. If you want to look at your property per se and maps and whatever. So it's already kind of a library atmosphere there. Okay, so a lot of comments going on here. It seems like a conversation. So those online continue to do that. Good morning, Shirley. Thanks for being with us. Much appreciated. And Miles saying, Tom Davie Square is perfect with the least expense involved. It's I never even thought of that. Well, I thought there might not be room there. First of all, I thought, well, everything's being used. How could you put a library in the existing Tom Davie Square? But I guess if they shuffle things, and it looks like we're just going to be cut in half with our broadcast today. Interesting. Not sure every time that happens. I'm just wondering what causes it. But hopefully we're all still here on the live feed. It just thing came up saying there was an error. Do I want to continue recording or do I want to whatever? So, and there we are here again, just sharing some of the comments. But I'm not sure why people would vandalize the crosses on the corner of Brady and Paris or Notre Dame. It's just heartbreaking why people would do that. Why are people so threatened by a cross that they feel they need to vandalize anything? And so this particular lady going to visit a loved one there, that's her way of going and reflecting on what happened. But making an assumption that somebody's threatened by a cross obviously is not probably why. We don't know why this happened or who did it, even though there's cameras everywhere in the city. Probably be able to pick it up. I would just think it could be anyone. It could be people who are going through addictions or whatever that, possibly living on the street who are upset about this, seeing this all the time and knowing this could indeed be their fate possibly, and just having at her. We don't know who's behind that. Could be anybody. But I guess just having it being vandalized brings it back into the news, and the fact that we are still in an opioid crisis in our city, nonetheless, I think is the best way to then begin the conversation again about it. Not the fact that it was vandalized per se, but what the heck? Why are we still adding to these crosses, first of all, right? And what can we do to prevent more crosses? So again, I'll just keep sharing people's comments as we're going here. And again, Stephen, just to let you know, if anything is more than 2 lines, it will not show up on the screen, but it's in the comments nonetheless. So reminder on that. And the library, definitely, I'm a fan of saving money, so appreciative that the city is looking at going down that road. Northeastern Ontario municipalities lift their fire bans following province's lead. The Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry has lifted its restricted fire zone in northeastern Ontario, and municipalities in the region have followed suit by ending their fire bans. It's interesting. I was flipping through the channels yesterday on the radio, and I think I was on 95.5. It's the Christian radio station as I'm flipping through. And I heard a public service message on there saying fire bans are still in effect. There's no fires to be had and whatever. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I thought I was just reading yesterday that they've been lifted. So let's just look into this. Lifting the RFZ restriction fire zone does not mean we can let our guard down when it comes to preventing human-caused fires. We all need to remain vigilant and keep safety top of mind when having outdoor fires, the ministry press statement said. Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry said it looks at the number of wildfires burning in the province, along with the resources it has available to fight those fires when considering a fire ban. The ministry lifted the restricted fire zone at 4 p.m. on July 11th. The city of Greater Sudbury followed the province's lead by lifting its municipal fire ban at midnight. So all day yesterday, if you wanted to have a fire, you could do that. Greg Lawrence, the city's acting deputy fire chief, said he got a call from the province during city council meeting on Tuesday and that it would lift its restricted fire zone. It was at that time that he advised the city to do the same. And look, he's very happy about this news, as you can tell. A picture says 1,000 words, and he is for sure happy about this, as all of us as well. So thanks for lifting the fire ban. We will be careful. We will do our best to keep our places safe and fire-free as individuals of our community. That's all we can do. We do live here. We don't want it to be on fire, I'm sure. So be safe if you're having fires. Don't throw your cigarettes out of your car into the bushes. It's probably not a good thing. You know, things that are going to start fires, just don't do that. Unless it's contained and you're having a social activity and you have a fire and you put it out afterwards, make sure it's not going to spread. But as long as we didn't have the July 1st fireworks, I think, so we can go on now and have fires. So it's 8:15, according to my time here, and we could probably get into some of the more deep dive issues today. Grateful for all your comments. I'm doing my best to get them up on the screen. So there you go. Fire ban for sure. Fire ban is lifted, but heard our city expelled their fire budget and the lift won't last long. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, you never know. Let's hope that it does. Let's hope that we can, enjoy the summer. I think having fires and sitting by a fire is part of enjoying summer to me. And kids, memories. I mean, think of the memories you've had as a child, possibly in Greater Sudbury and surrounding area, or wherever you're at. And if you're in Northern Ontario or just anywhere you're at, having a fire with loved ones around, family, friends. Think of those memories. Just there's nothing that compares to it. And think of all those memories that our children won't have if fire bans continue, right? It just you can't if you can't have these memories, it's priceless. It's like crazy. This is interesting. The Liberals pledge taxpayer funds to chemsex awareness. The Liberal government has pledged over $20,000 in taxpayer funding to a project devoted to raising awareness about chemsex, the practice within the LGBTQ plus community of using hard drugs like meth and cocaine to increase sexual activity. So, is this fake news? Is this real? So now it's up to anyone who's interested in this kind of thing. If they think it's good, if they think it's bad, if they think it's ugly, if they think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, you want to look into that and think, is that something our federal government should be spending your money on? You can look into that. Reported by True North News. It wasn't on CBC, by the way. Okay, we talked about this the other day as well. Trudeau hired nearly 100,000 new federal workers since being elected. New data shows that the Trudeau government has been on a public sector hiring spree since first elected in 2015, adding nearly 100,000 new employees to the federal public service. Federal director of the CTF, the Franco Torresano, said Canadians don't need a big government, but one that works for them efficiently. Was there a bureaucratic shortage in Ottawa before Trudeau took over? And that was a quote from Terrazano. He said, Canadians need more efficient government, not a bloated government full of highly paid bureaucrats. In its report, the PBO also said it in March 2023, fewer than 50% of the government's performance indicators are achieved by the public sector. So they're only reaching 50% of their own targets. Taxpayers have paid for hundreds of thousands of pay raises, hundreds of millions in bonuses, and for tens of thousands of extra bureaucrats, and the government still can't meet half of its own performance targets, said Terrazzano. Average annual earnings for full-time federal workers is, can you guess? So guess what you think the average worker would get paid in Canada generally. Think of people think of yourself, what you made, what people around you make, what could be an average. But the average full-time federal worker has reached $125,300. Well ahead of what most Canadians earn. So that's interesting. Fake news? True news? Is it a fact? Is it something that has our federal government has been doing, according to the PBO and the CTF? Those are the numbers we have. So how do you feel about that? Are we all in agreement? Does it make sense? I mean, they are reaching 50% of their targets, right, that they've made themselves. It's not like we've imposed or other people have imposed targets on the federal workers. They've did it. They've said, okay, we're going to do this. And they've only reached 50%. But their average pay, Miles says he thinks it should be about 75 grand. I think that would be about right too, right? Like that's probably more the average, the Canadian average. So to have the average of the federal employees' salaries be $125,000, well, who's paying for these salaries? You'd have to ask yourself, right? So they hire the people, they pay an average of $125,000. They are able to reach 50% of their targets that they're hired to do. And who's paying that extra? The employees that have been added, 100,000 since 2015. Answer, you're paying for that. So how do you feel about that? Do you think that's where your hard-earned money is well spent? Do you feel that you're getting a benefit? Do you feel your life has gotten easier, better, more efficient, whatever? It's helped your life to have that many more? Okay, 120,000 before tax, 75 after tax. Correct. Yeah. So if someone's making 75 before tax, it means they're bringing home 49,000 after tax. So the ratio is still the same. Sure, you're even taxed at a higher tax bracket, but think of the pensions they're getting afterwards too, and who's paying for those pensions for those extra 100,000 workers, and they ain't small pensions, believe you me. So who's paying for those, right? Guessing those who are making the 125,000 are Canadians. Wonder what Weston makes from selling groceries. Yeah, definitely not the workers, maybe the company. But yeah, are you an anti-capitalist, Dave? Do you feel that, if you make a company and you produce something that's of value, you're not able to make money? Do you believe there's only, so much you can do? This is your money. If you want to buy Weston's bread, don't buy Weston's bread, buy the other company's bread, right? But if I don't want my federal government, I want another federal government, I can't choose that. It's being made for me. It's my money whether I like it or not. I'm not being forced to buy Weston's bread. You can protest the idea of them making too much money and buy a different brand if you want. You make your own bread, I can't not participate in paying for a federal employee. That just doesn't happen, right? Okay, so Trudeau, speaking about the tax hikes, he sounds very, I don't know. I mean, Canadians. He's very, he's able to really have a lot of empathy in his voice. Ask yourself what the outcome has been for hiring this many people. Nothing has been accomplished. And that's what I mean, right? So what has gotten better? What has gotten more efficient? is our country, what have we gained by these extra 100,000 federal employees? You might be one of those, right? So it is what it is. I mean, I'm not knocking you as a person. I'm just saying the decision. How is it as a taxpayer? How do other people view it? I don't think that there are many backyard fires starting, forest fires, correct? Exactly. I'm with you on that one as well. Really can't compare private to public sector. That's true. As competition and performance drives the public sector, correct? And just an unlimited supply of money drives the public sector. So it's interesting. There's no accountability. So if you were a company and you were only reaching 50% of your targets and efficiency, you would then definitely not be in a good way economically, and you probably go bankrupt, right? But a government can go on for years and years and years with only 50% efficiency and just keep raising taxes upon the people, and there's just endless money. So we'll hear how Justin Trudeau feels about the raising of the taxes. He's over in Europe, I believe. So here you go, Justin
Bank
Trudeau.
of Canada raised its base lending rate to 5% today. That's the highest in over 2 decades. How concerned are you that Canadians are going to start defaulting on mortgages and other debts?
Look, this is not the news that any Canadian wanted to receive this morning. This is also a challenge that I've had conversations with fellow leaders from here in Europe and around the world on. The cost of living is a real challenge everywhere around the world, with record high inflation, with interest rates continuing to go up. People around the world are facing significant challenges. That's why in Canada, we've stepped up with targeted support for people who most need it at this moment. So last week, we delivered the grocery rebate to 11 million Canadians. Canadians in provinces where the federal pricing backstop applies will be receiving their climate check this week. And next week, the Canada Child Benefit is going to be increasing with the cost increases in the cost of living. On top of the housing benefit and other benefits we're delivering, we are very much focused on supporting Canadians, even as we create great jobs and grow the economy. We will continue to be there for Canadians through these difficult times as we create a brighter future for everyone.
Sunny ways. So that's Justin Trudeau's response to the raising of the inflation, inflation going up first of all, but the interest rates being raised by the Bank of Canada. He's very concerned. That's why he's given a check for a grocery rebate, obviously, because there's very greedy people who run the grocery stores and give us our food, which the government could somehow regulate or do something with. I'm not sure, but they decided to give us some money. Do you feel that the money that people are getting for the grocery rebate, which is the same thing, that slip was intentional? Because all it is an HST rebate, just rebranded as a grocery rebate, for political reasons, I would think, because it's good PR. It's showing that you're targeting this. But in a report I just read about how it's going to affect people with their mortgages, some people are going to be paying $1,000 more a month for their mortgages. So a one-time check of $200 or $300, or even let's say it was $1,000, a one-time check grocery rebate. So is that going to impact that person who has to pay $1,000 more per month for their mortgage? We're going to see a lot of stuff happening very shortly. So the idea of, as Justin Trudeau in his own words, the budget balances itself, quote unquote. We'll see if that actually is true or not coming up. So that was the way he approaches it. So here, starting editorial from shared by Sudbury.com, starting up a ticking mortgage time bomb. We'll get through this here. So this is the 10th rate hike since March 2022. Citing a heated economy, the BOC statement, Bank of Canada statement, said it expects consumer spending will slow the effect of these hikes as they kick in. The bank justified the latest hike with a word salad of monetary goobly-gook. I love that. That's probably the most sense I've heard in a long time. The bank justified its latest hike with a word salad of monetary goobly-gook. Goobly-gook. The result on consumers is stark and hurtful. The Bank of Canada is building a ticking mortgage time bomb that will impact young people hardest. Those who bought into the housing market 3 or 4 years ago when prices were high and interest rates were moderate will be renegotiating those mortgages soon. Soaring interest rates will place a huge financial burden on family budgets already stretched to the limit by high grocery prices. While the bank says, which is only due to the Weston family, by the way, I think, right, Dave? Like the Westons are causing all of this, I think. So, while the bank says inflation is slowing and prices are leveling out from the peak last year, they're plateauing at a level unheard of pre-pandemic. Canada's inflation rate was 3.4% in May, down from the staggering 8.1% last year. This latest rate hike dashes all hopes of home ownership for those people considering buying into the housing market. They'll never be able to afford the Canadian dream of home ownership. Renters, too, will suffer. This is a perfect storm of government ineptitude. The federal government pledges to bring 1.45 million new permanent residents between 2023 and 25. Meanwhile, the Bank of Canada ties the hands of developers to provide housing to newcomers by raising the interest rates. A better strategy to cope with inflation would be for the federal government to rein in its runaway spending, especially its hiring of civil servants, which we just talked about. The Parliamentary Budget Office reports the federal public service grew from 342,000 in 2015-16 to 391,000 in 2021. That increase in salaries cost taxpayers $21 billion. And at the same time, the amount the government spent on outside consultants skyrocketed, and so on and so forth. The Bank of Canada expects to suck it up and suffer silently. A smarter plan would have been to share the pain with those federal politicians who've brought this crisis on. Kick them out. First opportunity. That's an editorial from the Sudbury Star. I shared that link if you want to read more on that. So many comments coming in. And we are out of time by a long shot. So thanks for being with us today. So many comments. We really appreciate it. Thanks for being on, Noel. Nice to see you, my friend. And we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow, God willing. And have a great Thursday, everyone. Tomorrow it will be Friday. We have reached it almost. So just getting everyone's comments, trying to get them up on the screen here the best I can as we are closing out. Like I said, we're kind of getting off late. And thanks, everyone. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Have a great one. Make sure to share. Take care. And ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.